and welcome to Crank It Up Podcast, the YouTube home of Brigand Games. I'm Jim Price, designer of Erudia Battle of Birthrights, and today I want to introduce you to the Dragoon class. The Dragoons are one of the primaries from the Anachrony expansion, and one I'm particularly excited about for two main reasons. As followers of the channel may know, my favorite class from the Final Fantasy series growing up was Dragoons, and I cannot explain why, as they are only really known for jumping. But the idea of leaping into the air and slamming into opponents appealed to me throughout my childhood. Mechanically, Dragoons take a very simple concept and completely reorient it, and that is the attack. As jumping in Final Fantasy is an attack with greater intensity, jumping in Erudia honors that by allowing you to attack again, often gaining bonuses for attacking multiple times. This is such an important concept because attacks are usually stronger in exchange for the fact that they only occur once, and now that is no longer the case. This gives the Dragoons extreme relevance in both their primary and secondary format, as their primary makes you consider secondary acolytes carefully, and their secondary can really drive the strategy of your attack-based primaries. But while much of the attention of Dragoons will be centered on jump, we absolutely have to talk about their leader, Nayaka, whose Easter egg is hopefully obvious to Final Fantasy fans. When you talk about Dragoon victories, it's quite common to hear their rivals say, "I left Nayaka out for too long." And I've definitely been on both sides of that comment, as this leader should draw a ton of aggro. Nayaka enters play with 2 delay, which lets you know that something big is coming. When that delay finally wears off, Nayaka gains the command to have all of your units attack every 2 turns. This jumps all of your units, giving you a great payoff for time invested. If Nayaka fires once, that should be great value on its own. Twice, and you've got an extreme value. I think my record is 5 times using some healing effects, and the Dragoons can explode with that type of attack momentum. Because Nayaka is granting attacks to everyone, we have to look at their other units to determine their big plays. It's natural to talk about Shrike first, as Shrike can explode for a ton of power depending on how many times she attacks. Shrike is guaranteed to be at least 4 because she gains 1 power per attack. If she attacks twice, that's 6. Thrice, that's 9, and 4 times, that's 13. Let's look at how this is possible. Jetstream will allow you to attack after 3 charges and can be seeded in advance. Shrike is played and attacks for the first time, that's 1 charge. Jump will let you attack again for the 2nd charge. Nayaka will let you attack again for the 3rd. That would be enough for Jetstream, which can be the 4th. But you can actually get a 5th with Cercini, but it would end the cycle because a delay is added. Attacking 5 times would be a total of 15 temporary power, but because Shrike can give the power to anyone, this doesn't have to be a big drop of Shrike herself. I love using Shrike as an engine, and the fact that she can grant her attack to someone else as well, for times when your other classes do not have attacks. You'll notice that the Dragoon attacks are meant to be additive, so that Jump and Nayaka don't get in each other's way. With Shrike, they actually have a compounding effect. With the Heavy Lance, the same thing applies, but for breakpoint damage. This is because if you were jumping really high and crashing into the ground, wouldn't you expect there to be consequences? The Dragoons use battlefield damage in a lot of interesting ways, but it also leaves permanent progress when you are attacking with Nayaka. However, you may notice that there is a timing issue, since all the Dragoons have attacks, but by playing a unit, you'd be foregoing one such attack. There are actually 2 internal workarounds for this. The first is Vireo, who can throw an equipment to an attacking unit. This lets you stage your weapons on Vireo, and they be available for the unit who is attacking that turn, and it lets you avoid the power creep of the initial Heavy Lance. The second workaround is that they can be played by the Skyrider recruit. The Skyrider is a really flexible unit, given that you can play them for their weapons, or you can use them for extra plays after you jump another unit. One of the most interesting things is that assignment has proven really significant on the right battlefield, getting past things like Raskin's Void. One of the key signs that the Skyrider was correct was when players started jumping the Skyrider themselves. This is really good with the Knight secondary because you can play a Skyrider for the Genji Blade and Mace, then jump for a dagger and play the other dagger for 11 power from weapons and assign Skyrider and a lot of damage. For my final play, we have to talk about how they can use damage because you can play Dragoons for control, but it's more fun to play them for a massive terminal strike. Tanager is the damage equivalent of Shrike, and the damage is iterative, so you don't have to defeat anyone yet. If you can set her up properly, Tanager can be a massive come-from-behind solo play, and I've come close to wiping out 4 units, but I've definitely gotten 3. If you use Tanager, Nayaka, and Jump, Tanager will deal 6 iterative damage. In the average sense, that would deal 2 damage to 3 acolytes each, and put them all on the brink of destruction. Then you could ambush with airdrop for 4 more damage, which would kill all of them. and if you reacted with Shockwave, you'd add in area damage on top of that. You can easily see the damage racking up quickly, only defeating units when it matters most, allowing Tanager to win battlefields by herself. And this is very combo friendly with some of the other Dragoon cards, but even just the threat of Tanager and Jump as a quick reset on a unit is good enough. One of my favorite things about Jump is that it is extremely flexible, as attacks do all sorts of things. I love jumping Fina. I also really love jumping Cercini because it's a way of pre-jumping. With Jump's ability to both draw a card and recur itself, your odds of jumping again are high, and it gives you flexibility with your advanced tactic. The presence of the Dragoons will make you think twice about attacks, and because they've been known since the beginning, we have the capability of considering every attack in a Dragoon context. Here's a particularly fun example. You can play Mosa, who will play a unit. You can jump Mosa to play a third unit, and the jump would trigger a Skyrider. Cercini moves over, jumping Mosa to play a sixth unit, and there's your mountain. And you can potentially get a lot of these units back. It's a simple example of the value proposition of jumping, which will make attacks always relevant. And the idea of units being engaged, meaning that they've already been resolved, I promise that we'll see that again. So what royal items do the Dragoons love? One is so obvious that it needs not be mentioned, but this is a great fit for both the Bevian Glaive and the Sylvan Boots. The boots really help if you are pre-jumping with Cercini, as it means that she can use jump in a non-terminal capacity. Because Dragoons have such high solo potential, the memento is really important because they will chain strong cards together. It also insulates them against losing a key engine unit early. The Dragoons also have a few ambush surprise plays that can either double score or swing the battlefield, making the tiers a strong choice as well. I also really like the cloak for them, as the Dragoons have a lot of equity in terms of time, strength, and weapons, and not letting that come off the board too quickly will really help their game plan. With a diverse playstyle of power, damage, movement, battlefield damage, and extra plays, the Dragoons do a lot. But more importantly, they integrate so nicely into your partner class and can play a support role if needed. What's an attack that you're looking forward to repeating? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.